Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name is Bob, I'll be your host. And in this video, I'm going to recommend some more movies and stuff to help inspire you to come up with ideas for your tabletop role-playing games, particularly your science fiction role-playing games. Now, as the previous list that I did apply, I'm going to use the same rules, that none of the movies I mention or anything can have dedicated games to them. So I'm not going to mention stuff like Star Wars or Aliens or The Walking Dead or any sci-fi science fiction property that has its own dedicated game. So we're going to look at some strange things. So in my last video that I did this, and I went with horror themes, I mentioned Event Horizon, which is a science fiction horror. That would definitely be at home on this list, but since I mentioned it previously, I'm only going to give it an honorable mention this time around. And weirdly, there's only 5 things on my list, 3 of which wound up being science fiction horror. Or excuse me, 2 of which are science fiction horror. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing on my list is The Matrix, which came out in 1999 and is technically rated R and is 136 minutes long. Now, everybody out there, I'm sure, knows what The Matrix is. Surprisingly, it has never had a dedicated tabletop role-playing game for it. That always surprises me, given how popular that movie was, even though the sequels kind of went downhill. But it's about people being trapped in the Matrix and fighting the AI programs or whatever. I was never really big on that movie, but there's a lot of inspiration there for your cyberpunk style tabletop role-playing games. Now, the next thing on our list that we're going to mention isn't a movie. It's actually a TV show. And it's an animated TV show called The Wheeled Warriors. And it came out in 1985 and has 1 season of 65 episodes. A lot of you probably don't know what this cartoon is, but essentially you have these people on a spaceship and they go around fighting these plant monsters on different planets and stuff. Now, it's based on a toy line called Wheeled Warriors. The good guys have all this mechanical hardware, gear, and weapons, and the bad guys are all plant-based vehicles. So any of you that are out there wanting to be eco-friendly, save the environment, welcome to a game where you're going to be destroying a bunch of vegetation. Evil vegetation, but still. It's an idea for a game. Let's move on. The next thing on our list is a science fiction horror film called They Live. It came out in 1988, is rated R, and is 96 minutes long. This movie was made by John Carpenter, and it stars the wrestler Roddy Piper. This movie is extremely famous for an alleyway fight scene in it. And what this movie's about is you have aliens that have invaded Earth and are hiding as people, and they're controlling everything, keeping the poor poor, and the rich get to be even more rich as long as they're loyal to the aliens. And it's about Roddy Piper and his friend finding out about it and trying to expose them and stuff. And it's a pretty good movie, pretty interesting. But this would be a good idea for a kind of hidden type of conspiracy theory science fiction role-playing game, and it would work. So let's move on. The next thing on our list is a comedy sci-fi film called Ice Pirates. This movie came out in 1984. It is rated PG and is 94 minutes long. Now, this movie is nuts. It's a space opera, meaning you're flying around in spaceships and stuff, but there is a galactic-wide water shortage. So, people are stealing ice from each other, pirating ice pirates. And it's about this band that wind up mixed up with some stuff, and they're looking for this hidden planet that has an endless supply of water. I'm not going to ruin the surprise for a little-known movie from decades ago, but it's really funny. It's got Ron Perlman in it, and you can't go wrong with Ron Perlman. But most of the fighting crew of the pirates is made up of robots, and it's silly and goofy, and I'm sure a lot of the jokes don't fit in with today's sensibilities, but it is a pretty cute movie. And if you were wanting to run a tabletop sci-fi game with more of a comedic bent, this would help you out with some inspiration. Our final film is another sci-fi horror film, and it is called Scanners from 1981. It's rated R and is 103 minutes long. This movie is really gory. If you want to see a movie with people's heads exploding, this is your movie. And what this movie's about is you got people with psychic powers, and the government's getting into it, wanting to use the psychics to do their own thing, and fearful that the psychics are invading the government, and again, another conspiracy setup with psychic powers. If you're wanting to run a science fiction game with a bunch of sci characters with government conspiracies, this would be a pretty good look, especially if you like gore in your science fiction. So, those are 5 places that you can get some inspiration for your science fiction games. And there are more. I could probably think of a lot more obscure ones. But let me know if you'd like me to try to find some more obscure science fiction films for inspiration. But thank you for joining me at my rambling, and hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.